being a Pokemon fan nowadays kind of sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty blunt with this one because it does seem rather ironic that the day before this video gets uploaded, I was basically defending, so to speak, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But afterwards, after that was uploaded, and then seeing a bunch of like stuff here and there with more leaks, with patch notes and other things, and more discourse and things and all that kind of stuff, it just made me realize just how bizarre it is to be a Pokemon fan. Not just bizarre, but also how much it kind of sucks. And the reason why I'm being very blunt about this is because it's a very serious thing when it comes to being a Pokemon fan. It's a very serious thing and a very sucky feeling to have when, on the one hand, you enjoy what the games have to offer, especially since their jump to 3D, back on the 3DS for Pokemon X and Y and onward, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, and then later for the Nintendo Switch, such as Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and then you had Pokemon Sword and Shield in 2019, and how many people sort of had this mixed feeling because of how there is no national dex, not every 800 plus Pokemon was going to be in it, the graphical scaling, the game design, all that kind of stuff. And then now with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, as well as Legends on the release, on the rise for them to be released, a lot of people are still having that same feeling. It's very decisive, it's very divisive, and it just sucks, especially with the amount of stuff that is going on as is. And I think the main issue why being a Pokemon fan sucks isn't really because of the games. Yes, it is understandable that due to the games you have this feel, this very passionate drive and fair criticism to you. I've seen a lot of people fairly criticize, you know, the Gen 4 remakes and even Legends, and it is a fair criticism to make for these games, especially as we've seen also with Pokemon Sword and Shield when they released. How is it possible that Game Freak was able, a multi-million-dollar company with Pokemon Company as well, how were they able to produce such a mediocre Pokemon game, especially after Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, where that clearly looks like it was built on, you know, Nintendo Switch hardware in mind. Meanwhile, you had Pokemon Sword and Shield, which, you know, the drive was there, but they didn't put enough effort into it. All that is understandable, but the main issue is the community itself and how it tears itself apart, and also realizes that the damage that it is doing can also be irreversible. And irreversible it can be because you see time and time again, many people are having this sentiment of, why do I enjoy these games in the first place if people are going to complain about them? And if a lot of people are going to complain about them, even though it's a vocal minority, it makes me feel guilty buying these games. It makes me feel guilty spending $60 because it seems rather fair or obvious that, yeah, it doesn't, you know, fit the requirements it needs to be $60. And all that kind of stuff is the reason why I want to make this video in the first place, especially with addressing the Pokemon community at large, because it is clearly their fault. And I'm going to be very honest with that as well, because it is clearly the Pokemon community's fault for being so divisive. And the reason I'm saying this is because of the approach that they take when it comes to the criticism that some games handle, to the defense that many people have, such as when I brought my defense for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, or other people that have that defense, and just the fact that, you know, Pokemon is no longer a part of our demographic anymore. And I think that's the major factor as to why the Pokemon community is the way that it is, and why being a major Pokemon fan is a very sucky feeling to have because of all of this. Because of the fact that Pokemon is no longer a part of our demographic. It's just the reality we have to understand. And I've said this in an old video as well, which didn't get much recognition, but I think it's important to stress that idea as well, is that Pokemon is not for people like us, for people like me that is in their 20s, or, you know, for someone that's in their mid 20s to 30s. And while it is understandable that many of us still want to be a part of those games because we grew up playing those games, Game Freak doesn't understand that, because they don't want to understand that, because they know that their main target is 10 to 15-year-old kids. They know that that's their demographic, and despite what you will about, you know, the celebrations that they've gone, or the fact that Legends seems to be a more mature game for older Pokemon fans, all that kind of stuff, Game Freak doesn't care about that. They just make games for, you know, the 10-year-old to 15-year-old kids of this generation, for them to be Pokemon fans, and so they see and grow up just like how we grew up. And that's the reality we have to face. We're not kids anymore, and we continue to believe in this false notion that Game Freak is going to change and make more, you know, difficult games of Pokemon. They're going to make difficult Pokemon games. They're going to make better Pokemon games. Well, in reality, they're not going to do that. They just won't. And you can either justify your basis of being a fan by either still buying the games for what it is worth rather than what you expect it to be worth, rather than, or just not buy the games at all and just, you know, play a different game as a whole and be a part of that fandom. And I know it kind of sucks to say that as well. It really is a very, very bad feeling to have when you kind of admit to yourself and say that, you know, I love Pokemon. I really do. I grew up with Generation 4, and I'm still very happy to see that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are to be released, regardless of how people feel. I personally am very excited for these games. I know not a lot of people feel excited for these games, but I think out of that, you know, statistic, I feel like the only reason why they're not excited for that game is either the lack of content that ILCA couldn't provide for, you know, those Gen 4 remakes. Thus, it makes it justifiable to say a very false claim as to, oh, they're more HD remasters. Well, we know that time and time again, they are not. They are remakes. They have additional content that wasn't in the original game, regardless of the scrap content that was not provided for these remakes. They are remakes. But aside from that, it's because of the false notion that you expect things that ultimately you would find in other games. And let me give you a perfect example of this, and that is, you know, Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, the entire franchise as a whole, and then Pokemon. A lot of people often compare, and I know that there's the whole stigma of comparing Persona and Shin Megami Tensei and all that kind of stuff, but right now I really don't care, because I want to emphasize this point here. A lot of people often refer to Persona or Shin Megami Tensei or even Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth as mature Pokemon. And the reason they say that is because they have deeper elements, they are for an older demographic, and they provide the same sense of gameplay RPG mechanics that you would often find in a Pokemon game. It's more upscaled, it's more graphically refined, it's more suited for people our age, and that's the emphasis of this video. It sucks to be a Pokemon fan, because there are times where you have to admit that we are kind of too old for what Game Freak expects their audience to be. And so when we hear our cries, we tell them that this is not what we want Pokemon to be. I think they just look at the other side and say, well, the kids don't care about what you think. We're looking towards what our bigger audience is all about. You guys are somewhere in the middle, and though we appreciate you still being a part of the ride, we don't care about you anymore. There's other games for you to try out. You have money that you can spend on stuff that's better. We don't care about you. We want the children who know that they can't differentiate between the worth of two $60 games. We're focusing on that, and that's the main reason why being a Pokemon fan sucks, because of the whole this and that and all that kind of stuff. And that's just the entire premise of why all of this is happening. It's because we are not that age anymore. We are not that demographic, and we're not that audience. We're on the sidelines now, and it kind of sucks, because as much as we want Game Freak to be better, they're not gonna change. And if they want to change, it'll be very minimal. And again, they'll still focus on the target audience they were meant to focus on ever since the first Pokemon games released in the mid-90s. And I don't want to kind of suck the feeling and the hype for what Pokemon is going to present moving forward, because for the Nintendo Switch alone, it has provided some very good quality Pokemon games as is. Again, say what you will about the upcoming Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, say what you will about, Sword and Shield and the backlash that got, but we have had pretty good stuff of Pokemon content as is for a hybrid console. Let's Go is a good example. New Pokemon Snap is a good example. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX is another good example. And of course, Pokemon Legends Arceus is going to be a good example of that. And we just have to appreciate the games for what they are, regardless of how we feel about them. And we kind of have to move on in certain aspects. We will always love Pokemon. We'll always appreciate Pokemon for what it's done for us back then. But I think it's time for us to take a back seat and sort of figure out ways that, could benefit us as Pokemon fans, whatever the hell that means. But aside from all of that, aside from what I have to say, from what I had to say, and from what I've realized as a Pokemon fan, because this is all personalized. I know that many people have different, personal takes on Pokemon, whether they're big fans on it or whether they sort of jumped off the bridge from at a certain generation, all that kind of stuff. Everyone has their personal preferences when it comes to Pokemon. These are mine. These are my realizations. This is how I feel at the moment with Pokemon. A lot of people may agree with me. A lot of people may disagree with me. That much is certain, and considering that this is YouTube, I will kind of see that to a degree, but I don't really care, because at the end of the day, I will still have that love for Pokemon. I'll always have that love for Pokemon. For always. No matter what generation at that point, I will make sure that I will have a Pokemon game on whatever Nintendo console it will have at that moment. I will let my kids, my grandchildren, my wife, I will let everybody know that I am a massive Pokemon fan, and I will make sure to support that however it means. And at the end of the day, it's something that we just have to come to terms with. And hopefully, if we come to terms with that we're Pokemon fans, we enjoy the games, but we're not the demographic anymore, so we can't really complain as much as we should. Maybe that will make things better, and maybe that will help Game Freak realize that, oh crap, there are people in the in-between, and maybe we will do something for them, because they're the reason why we still exist. They grew up with what we've provided in each and every generation. Let's do something for them. And I think that's why they gave us new Pokemon Snap. I think that's why they want to, provide more for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. And I think that's the reason why they're making Legends Arceus as well. But I've been taking way too much of my time, and I've probably already repeated myself, so I'm just gonna leave it with this. Let's embrace the games for what they are. Let's criticize them fairly for what they present, and hopefully we can build a mutual understanding and help further support the idea of what it means to be a Pokemon fan. But seeing that this is the end of the video, let me know your comments down below. How do you feel being a Pokemon fan? How do you feel being a fan of anything in general? Because I know that this can be applicable to any fandom there is. There are certain problems with other fandoms that are not just exclusive to Pokemon or to theirs, all that kind of stuff. So just let me know in the comments down below whether you think I am right, I am wrong, your personalized takes, your own beliefs. When were you a Pokemon fan? All of that, just leave it in the comment section down below. And I love reading what you guys have to offer in the comments and all that kind of stuff. So let's just keep this hype going, and let's just enjoy what Game Freak has to offer, and hopefully they listen to us and maybe they'll change certain things along the way, but who's to say for sure? What is to say for sure is that, seeing that for those that have been here for a very long time, you guys know how I usually like to end my videos. So keep being awesome, keep spreading love and kindness to the world, because I know you guys can, and I know I can as well. So let's make sure to at least do one act of kindness each and every day to someone out there who needs it, especially in these times. Keep improving yourselves by 1%, because by improving by 1% can go a long way towards making a better tomorrow. Know that I love you guys forever and always to 120, and I can't wait to see you all in that next fantastic video. Remember guys, stay freaking sexy and take care.